for us, the most important thing in normal work days when you get like a message from a teacher or a message from a parent, they tell us like it's exactly what I was waiting for. It's exactly what I wanted for my student or my kid.
Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Just sit back, relax, and learn from the leaders of today. It's a journey. Each one is different, unique, inspiring. Let's get started. This episode is powered by J Ventures, a community-driven VC fund in Silicon Valley in partnership with Leumi, sponsored by Homeward Ventures, Hippo Insurance, Upwest Labs, Synergy Global, Hillel at Stanford, Leap, Birthright Excel, Serona Partners, and in media partnership with CTech. Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Let's talk about a bootstrapped startup that started with a real mission from a real story. Meet Michael Peled, the CEO and founder of Singit. As a child diagnosed with dyslexia, Michael Peled, CEO and founder of Singit, struggled to learn English at school. His father told him that he learned English using the Beatles and Pink Floyd songs, and that is how the idea was born, learning English through the power of music. During his military service in the Ofek unit of the Air Force, Peled and his partner, Benny Rosner, CTO and founder, decided to turn the idea into reality. In 2020, they began developing the Singit app and created a unique platform that allows each student to learn English in the best and most effective way by listening to students' favorite songs. The integration of art, music, lyrics, and language education, English, to teach people English and help people learn English through music. I think it's one of those things that are so innovative today, in the 2020s, where we're able to leverage some interesting technologies and look at the way we experience the world that traditionally was low-tech textbooks and see how we can actually help people absorb information better, understand it better, experience it in a more fun and exciting way. Obviously, you have a personal experience and a personal story that has led you to this understanding. And so I'm really excited to have you here, Michael, and in these 20 minutes, unfold a little bit about your own journey as well as Singit's strategy and what the company is doing. So thank you so much for being here.
Again, thank you so much for letting me talk here and spread my story and explain a bit about edutech. So it's the less well known of the tech intervals.
Mm-hmm.
So, like the story of my company starts in 2017, something in that area. But for honesty, it started a lot earlier. Like the company itself came from the idea that even when I was like in third grade as a dyslexic kid that comes with a family of dyslexic kids and a dad. And
what does dyslexia really mean? Just to make sure that we're aligned here.
Yeah. So dyslexia really. So it really depends on the age you get. You people realize you're dyslexic, and normally it's really have a real impact. So dyslexia have like a couple of branches. So most of my family and me are dyslexic with really high attention to dysgraphia.
And what does that mean?
It's really impact how you read, how you process information, how you can write, and how can people understand your writing and your reading. So it can make a 12-year-old kid or a 14-year-old kid with dyslexia, it's the first time they're gonna read fluently, when normal kids read fluently from first grade, like since they're 6 or 5. And so it starts from there, for all
just to distill it for a second, Michael. So when you're talking about the differences and what it means to grow up with dyslexia, because at the end, what you're touching on with your company is this understanding that people learn in different ways, people experience and absorb information in different ways, and you're accommodating to that. just share with me the experience of learning something, learning a new language, learning a new writing or reading. What is that like for you as a kid compared to, somebody else in the class that may not be dyslexic?
So, so for me, it was like my regular life. Like I get born to to see the other student that sits next to me. When he
Hmm.
learned for a test like 1 hour before the test, and I learned for the test for like 3 weeks, and we get the same grade, or even he get the higher grade, and I knew I learned harder than him. I knew that I work harder than him. I learned more time than him, but he could process the information a lot faster because I had a difficult time to read. And when I want to process what I have in my mind into writing, a lot of things slip in the middle. And this one of the things that dyslexia, really get the best of you, even if you try your best. And so I really had to be fortunate enough to be raised in a wealthy family. So since I was like in kindergarten, I worked with a lot of private teachers and that helped me in new ways to process information, processes that help dyslexics and really showcase how they can process information in a better way. Those private
Hmm.
teachers show me that yes, I can do math better than 99% of the population in the population,
Right. And so if we're
when
looking now
when
at,
I wanna read and I want to process information and not numbers, I have to do it in special ways. And
right,
most families don't really have those kind of budgets to invest in their kids, and to
right,
sit them down for 8 hours with private teachers every day. And that's
sure.
that's something that really hurt me to see. And even as even as a third grade student, I noticed that something is really weird in the in the in the education in every school, because everybody learn in one way and only one strict way, even that not all people process information in the same way. So
Right.
uh, so since the third grade, I noticed that, and I knew that when I will grow up, I want to do something in that area, something that will help students with dyslexia, something that will help students, work in a different environment they are used to.
Fantastic. And so if we're looking now at what are you doing with Singit, and obviously it's tying back to your personal story and what you're describing here is the fact that the way that you're experiencing learning and is different, it's special, and you had the fortune of having accommodations that allowed you to continue and to keep up with everybody else that were learning in the traditional sense, and you're looking for ways in which technology can integrate in order to level the playing field and allow for people with dyslexia to learn in their traditional way and not in the traditional way of people without dyslexia. So tell me about the formation of Singit. How did that come about?
So I was in a program of of the Weizmann Institute for gifted kids in
Hmm.
computer science. And we got to the end of the last year of the project. You need to publish your final, your final project is have to be something web based, and everybody pretty much did the same thing. They built like a semi Counter Strike on their computer science lab or something in that nature. But I really wanted to take it one step ahead. And I always remember my father, who was dyslexic in the 1960s. So people didn't know what is dyslexic. They just
Wow.
called him, maybe stupid, maybe just that does math good, but he can do nothing. And he always explained to me, eh, he worked in the US like a lot, and he always explained to me I never learned my English in class. Like my English teacher couldn't teach me nothing, and my whole English is dedicated for Bob Dylan and John Lennon, and and
Yep.
and I thought it's amazing. Like, and he really explained to me. He used to listen to his like mixtapes that he made from his radio, and he sat down with an Oxford dictionary, and just this is how he learned English. So I found it fascinating. I really started searching how music helps dyslexic and normal students as well. And you see how many research said says that music helps you in all sort of ways to study and learn better. And so
Amazing.
I took that idea. I started to develop, the worst application that I ever made. But it was the MVP of what now is Singit. So I created, an MVP with Android Studio. As a normal student in computer science, and and uh, and most of the kids there publish their final project and finish with the project. But with my project, it kind of took a life of his own when a lot of people came and reached to me, tell me, it's amazing project, we have to see it in classes." And it was always on my mind. So I kept running the idea, but I have to find like a more people to help me develop. So after that, I joined the army. I went to Ofek. It's like a computer. It's the computer unit in the IAF, in the Israeli Air Force. And there I found my commander. His name is Benny Rosner, and I found him like an amazing web developer. I never saw someone that can develop so fast. I explained to him the idea, and he found it fascinating. So suddenly I found myself like with my commander as my partner in the company, and we've started nonstop developing of the product. And we finally got it to a place that we could run to schools and tell them, look, we find another way for your teachers to teach English and for your students to interact with the language after school hours and during school hours in a different way that is really interesting. And we started spreading the word. But it was like our side project. Like we had so much passion for the project, but both of us, like Benny was you know a his army was his life. He signed years in the army, and then I needed to to make a living. So I was more in the fintech world, investment banker world. Like I helped a lot of companies go to IPOs and fix it in that nature. And then suddenly, because we kept working all night on Singit, because we had so much passion for this project, and we saw like what happens to kids when they use Singit. So me and him alone started to write to the Ministry of Education. Suddenly, the Mafmar of English started writing us back, really guide us how to get an approval for the Ministry of Education to put, the product in schools directly and working with the government. And suddenly we find ourselves with a real approval from the education company to put the product in schools. So, both of us like quit everything, took everything we had, and then started the project and started the company as soon as possible. We started spreading the product in schools, making kids work with it, starting to get an understanding of how the students work with the product, and how teachers work with the product, and what we can give for both of them to create an amazing experience. Because for us, the easiest way to make Singit was to just publish it in the App Store and Play Store and let everybody just play with the product, and download it, or pay for a small subscription. the hardest way we could do the product and make it work was with the government and with schools. But it was so important for
Mm-hmm.
us, and it's our ideology that schools need to change the way of learning, need to bring kids an alternative ways of learning. So we took the hard way, and we believe that someday it will be very beneficial for the company, and we believe that a lot of kids really enjoy the product. And more than believe, we got an amazing statistics about students that use the application after school hours, and not only after school hours, but without any teacher guidance. They just enter to our application, listen to their favorite songs, and learn English through that. So for us, it's amazing.
So what is the product? Walk me through the actual
So
customer,
the product
consumer
itself is like
experience of what is Singit.
surround itself to two different parts. Like the first part is the student side. Like the student side look exactly
Mm-hmm.
like Spotify. The kid have 5 million songs, well-known songs that they can choose from. Every when he chooses a song that is in his liking, let's go with I don't know, Watermelon Sugar High, like from it's a song that a lot of kids really like in our application. You press on it, you get an instant, you get the synchronization of the song, so he knows exactly where the singer is in the song and can listen to what the singer says. If the kid and the student that doesn't recognize a word or doesn't understand the word, he can just press on it. The music will stop. We will get an instant translation if it's a noun or a verb, how to use it in a sentence, and what is the word itself, like what is it saying. So the so that's one part. And at the moment you press on a word, we remember the student pressed on that word, that specific word. And every time you will enter to another song that have the same specific word, we're gonna still mark it, because we want the student to look at it again, listen to the word again, and see the translation again. And we really,
Mm-hmm.
indicates how important is repetition and audible. Repetition and audible is the base of every learning curve. So we really mimic that. And Michael, do you use YouTube or Spotify? Do you use? Yeah. So when
Of
YouTube
course.
like offers you a video after you finish your first video, because YouTube want you to keep using YouTube, because you want you
Mm-hmm.
to keep processing videos. So we found that really interesting. So we mimic the same algorithm. It's one of the most common algorithms in.
And how, but
Yes,
how
so
does the learning actually take place?
I'll get
So
in
if
there.
I'm,
Like, more than the repetition in audible, when you see the translation, so we recommend songs with the most lyrics the kid didn't recognize, and we offer him songs in his liking with the most words he didn't recognize. And so yeah,
so and how does
so
the engagement
after
work? How do you know
every
what
time,
words did he
yeah, so
recognize and
every
what words
time
he didn't recognize?
you will enter a song after you pressed on a word or a couple of words, we will pop up a mini quiz that will check if you really learn the vocabulary that you pressed on. The moment you will answer the right answer in the quiz, we will remove the word from your dictionary of words you didn't recognize, and by that we know that he
Mm-hmm.
learned the word because he did the correct answer. So we mimic repetition in audible. We make
Mm-hmm.
the student come back to the application because we give him his favorite songs, just like Spotify, but we make sure he learns by by him just pressing a word he doesn't recognize. And kids, a lot of people told us, so what happens if a kid doesn't press a word? So 95% of our users at least press on 5 or 6 different words in one song. So it showcases that the students does want to study, you just need to give him, the right way and the right user experience to make him study. And
And how many students? How many students have
so we got
have
60,000
engaged with the
students
application so
in
far?
school year, 800 schools. So it's
Wow.
so for a first year product only in Israel,
Wow.
it was pretty big. We hope for even bigger next year, a much bigger spread of the application. And the most important thing for me and Ben, because we didn't raise funds right now. We still like it's a real startup with like 13 employees, but we still find ourselves like bootstrapping. So for us, the most important
Wow.
thing in normal work days, when you get like a message from a teacher or a message from a parent that tell us like it's exactly what I was waiting for. It's exactly what I wanted for my student or my kid. It's so different. And sometimes like sometimes I get like real emotional messages from dyslexic kid students that maybe like they heard about my story, but they use the app and they get so connected to the app, and finally like it really helps him you know to stay on track with his class, even with his difficulties.
It sounds fascinating, and Michael, I love the fact that your story is tying into this, and the understanding that you can leverage technology to adapt to people's way of understanding. And obviously here,
Everybody.
this is not just for dyslexic kids. This is for anybody who's learning the language, because this is you're combining entertainment with education, understanding that why don't we take the media that these students are consuming anyways and leverage it within the school system, right? I mean, obviously kids are probably not going to go and learn English on their own after school when they can do other things. But if in the classroom you can replace the traditional textbook learning with a more Spotify, YouTube-like experience with gamification and get better results, then that's obviously a win-win for everybody. And Michael, thank you very, very much for sharing your story with me. I appreciate it. This was a lot of fun and very interesting. And I wish you best of luck with Singit, and stay safe and stay healthy.
Thank you so much, Michael. Thank you so much for hosting me. Thank you.